To walk, or rather roll, a mile in another man's shoes, Chris and I took to Boston streets to see what it would be like to be handicapped in the city.
Being a person who has 4 limbs and can walk around and get through the city with no problem, to being injured. It happened to me when I was in college. I injured my back so badly I needed to be in a wheelchair. The first snafu we've run into is that the school doesn't have a wheelchair that we can borrow. So I had to borrow a wheelchair from one of my friends. And here it is. I'm not hurting my back.
Many people are born with a disability that requires them to use a wheelchair, but some people who take the use of their legs for granted probably never consider how quickly they could go from this to this. With the wheelchair, we filmed Chris as he attempted to go through a typical weekday. Today, parts of his daily routine posed significant obstacles, some of which were unexpected. First, Chris attempted to access the school buildings where he takes classes. The first building he tried to enter did have a handicap-accessible entrance. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to be working. Chris had to wait until a fellow student opened the door for him, a simple task he was unable to perform himself. Sorry. Midday, Chris, like any grad student, needed his coffee, especially after the grueling process of simply getting to class. Navigating the cracked streets proved difficult enough. However, when Chris finally arrived at his destination, he couldn't even get inside. Chris would not have been able to operate the lift without help, but no one was paying him any attention. After sitting helplessly in front of the building, he gave up. Then it was back to class, without his caffeine fix. The next door that Chris tried to enter was simply inaccessible.
My dignity and wait for somebody to open it. Which I think would get really annoying for somebody who's actually handicapped.
After some confusion, he found an entrance designed specifically for wheelchairs. However, it took him out of his way, and, he pointed out, would most likely have caused him to be late for class. After an exhausting day, Chris is ready to head home. However, he quickly found out that this was also harder than anticipated. Though the Boylston tea stop we entered did have a turnstile that looked large enough to accommodate the chair, there was simply no way for Chris to navigate the 2 sets of stairs leading to it. After some investigation, Chris had to concede defeat. There was no way for him to get into the station.
But I just rolled around the building and I didn't see any, there's no way to get down there. Let's check it out.
At the end of the day, Chris had to conclude that the world, or at least his piece of it, is not as accessible to the disabled as he would like to believe.
I don't think that the world is handicap accessible. There's like state laws that say that everything has to be handicap accessible. It's just not. I mean, it's not. You saw it today.